Welcome back to the deep dive. I want you to, just for a second, picture something for me.
Okay.
Picture a concert hall. You know, big, fancy, or maybe it's a small, gritty club, doesn't matter. The lights go down, the crowd gets quiet, and the virtuoso walks out. We all know this person, this archetype.
Oh, yeah. The master of their craft.
Exactly. It's the pianist cracking their knuckles before they play. It's the guitarist, doing that one last tuning check. We respect them because we've all heard of the 10,000-hour rule.
Right, the Malcolm Gladwell idea.
That idea, yeah, which he got from Anders Ericsson, that says to get that good, to have that kind of, absolute command over an instrument, you have to put in the time.
10,000 hours of pure, unadulterated practice.
The scales, the repetition, the frustration, bleeding fingers, all of it.
It's the currency of respect in music, isn't it? We value the output because we sort of instinctively understand the input. We know what that skill costs them.
Exactly. So here's the thought I want to throw at you today, the provocation.
Go for it.
What if the next Mozart or the next Hendrix isn't someone who spent 10,000 hours on a physical thing, like a violin or a guitar?
Okay.
What if they spent those 10,000 hours navigating the latent space of a neural network? What if the next great virtuoso is someone who got good by training on their own AI's mistakes?
That is a question that I think makes a lot of people, especially traditional musicians, very, very uncomfortable.
I bet.
But it's the question we have to ask. Because based on the research we're looking at today, we've got white papers, user studies, some really interesting launch materials. We are, I think, on the verge of a really fundamental shift.
A shift from what to what?
We're moving from the era of AI as a generator to what you could call AI as an instrument.
We're not just spitballing here. This isn't some abstract future talk. The reason we're having this conversation right now, Friday, January 23rd, 2026, is because of a very specific thing that's about to happen. In just about a week, on February 1st, a new platform called 4B4KU5, and it's pronounced Abacus, is going live. And when you look at their press kit, their whole vibe, it just feels different.
The name alone is a statement, isn't it? Abacus.
Yeah, I thought that was clever.
Think about it. What is an abacus? It's a tool, a manual tool for calculation. You don't just ask it for the answer.
And no, you have to move the beads yourself.
You use it to solve the problem yourself. It implies effort. It implies that you are the one doing the work, not the machine.
And that's what jumped out at me from their marketing language. Usually, AI tools are all about speed, right? Make a hit song in 5 seconds.
No experience needed. Yeah.
But Abacus is using these phrases like relive moments where it all clicked, or study your failures, or refine your timing.
It sounds like they're selling you a practice tool, a training room, not a magic wand.
Right. And that distinction is, I think, the core of our deep dive today.
It is. The literature we've been digging through, it suggests we're seeing this kind of bifurcation, a split in the road for AI music. On one side, you've got the vending machine. On the other, you've got the cockpit.
The vending machine versus the cockpit. I love that. Okay, so that's our mission today. We're going to try to figure out, is AI music actually becoming a trainable skill?
A real discipline.
Can you actually get good at it in a way that's more than just luck? And if you can, are we about to see like AI Music Esports?
Well, if there's a skill ceiling, there's always competition. And if there's competition, someone's going to make it a sport.
Okay, let's dig in then. To really understand why this cockpit model is such a big deal, we have to start with where we are now, or where we've been for the last couple of years.
The current landscape, yeah.
The researchers call it passive generation. This is the world of Suno, Udio, all those tools we've been playing with.
Right. And let's be clear, the tech behind those platforms is incredible. From a computer science point of view, it's a miracle.
Oh, absolutely.
But from a workflow perspective, from a creative perspective, it is transactional. It's a prompt wait result cycle.
Walk us through that cycle, because I think we've all done it, but maybe we haven't stopped to think about what it does to your brain as a creator.
Sure. So you sit down, you type in a prompt, upbeat jazz, 120 beats per minute, saxophone solo, rainy afternoon vibe.
Right.
You hit the generate button, and then you wait.
You stop being a creator, you become an audience member.
Exactly. The AI goes into what we call its black box. That's the term for when we don't really know how it's making its decisions. And it makes millions of tiny choices. The harmony, the rhythm, the exact tone of that sax, and then a minute or two later, it spits out a finished audio file.
An MP3 or a WAV.
And that's it.
And what happens if, say, the sax solo is just a little too wild? Or the drums are mixed way too loud?
Well, your options are pretty limited. You can try to use their little edit functions, extend or vary, but mostly you just roll the dice again.
You hit regenerate.
You hit regenerate and you hope for the best.
It really is a slot machine. You're just pulling the lever, hoping for 3 cherries to line up.
It is, and that creates a very specific kind of relationship to the work. We were looking at a really great thread on Reddit from a producer who goes by Nicotini Page.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they call this the creative dead end. Their point is that in this passive model, you're basically a consumer of the music, even though you technically ordered it. You're not the creator because you didn't struggle with it.
Because all the thousands of little creative decisions, they all happen inside the machine.
Yeah.
You didn't pick that specific syncopation on the hi-hat. You didn't decide to bend that one guitar note. You just ordered guitar.
Correct. The black box problem means you have zero agency in the actual moment of creation. You're the client who commissions a painting. You are not the painter with the brush in their hand.
And for anyone who considers themselves a musician, that's got to feel kind of hollow.
It does. So that brings us to this new wave. We're seeing all these terms in the research now, like active performance or real-time intervention.
This is the world of 4B4KU5 and other tools like Beat DJ. So how is the Cockpit actually different from the vending machine?
The biggest, most fundamental difference is latency.
The delay.
Yeah. In the passive model, latency is high. You wait minutes for your song. In the active model, latency is practically zero. The creation is the performance.
You're not waiting for a file to render. You're shaping the sound as it's happening.
You're flying the plane.
You know, one of the papers we read used a visual metaphor for this that I thought was perfect. They said it's the difference between AI as a mirror and AI as a scalpel.
Yes. I highlighted that whole section. It's such a powerful way to frame it.
Unpack that for us. What does AI as a mirror mean?
So passive AI is a mirror. You hold up your prompt, that's your intention, and the AI reflects it back at you.
Okay.
But mirrors aren't always perfect, right?
Yeah.
They can be warped, like a funhouse mirror. In AI, we call these distortions hallucinations.
Right.
You might ask for a sad violin, but the mirror shows you a weirdly happy fiddle tune because of some bias in its training data. And the key thing is you can't reach into the mirror to fix the reflection.
All you could do is change what you're holding up. Change your prompt.
Exactly. Now compare that to the scalpel.
The scalpel implies you're doing surgery. You have direct control.
Direct contact, yeah. When you're using a tool like 4B4KU5, or maybe a visual synth like Neural Frames, you are actively cutting into the media. You're operating on the sound waves themselves.
You're navigating that latent space we talked about earlier.
Yes, that giant mathematical cloud of all possible sounds. But you are steering. You aren't just telling the taxi driver your destination. You have your hands on the wheel.
And this gets to the idea of a flow state, right?
That's crucial.
From all the psychological research, we know that to get into that creative flow, you need an immediate feedback loop. You do something, the world responds, you adjust.
Instantly.
You can't get into a flow state if you have to stop every 30 seconds to stare at a progress bar.
It's impossible. It just shatters the whole neurological loop. These active performance tools are trying to bridge that gap. They want the AI to respond as quickly as a piano key responds when you press it.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second.
Please do.
Just because I'm turning a knob in real time,
Yeah.
that doesn't automatically mean I'm doing something skillful. I can turn the volume knob on my stereo, but that doesn't make me a virtuoso.
A fair point.
Is this actually hard? Can you fail at it? Because if you can't fail, then it's not a skill. It's just a toy.
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And that's where we have to get a little bit more technical. The source material we read actually introduces this concept they call performance agency, PA for short.
Right.
And they don't just talk about it, they try to quantify it. They have a mathematical formula for it.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked like something straight out of my old calculus textbook.
Yeah.
PPAUO equals the integral of.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need you to translate that for me.
Okay. Let's forget the calculus symbols for a minute.
Thank you.
The formula basically says that your performance agency equals your user intent over a period of time multiplied by the responsiveness of the system.
Okay, user intent over time. Let's break that down. To me, that sounds like it's decisions per minute or something like that.
That is a fantastic way to put it. Think of it as decision density.
Okay.
In a Suno track, how many big decisions do you make? You make one at the beginning, the prompt.
And maybe one more if you decide to extend it.
Maybe one more. So your decision density is incredibly low. You make one or two choices, the AI makes a million.
But in a cockpit tool like Abacus.
In a 10-minute set on 4B4KU5, you might be making hundreds of decisions. You're tweaking a filter cutoff here, triggering a drum stem there, adjusting the overall chaos parameter. You're making choices every single second.
So your intent over time is massive. You are constantly scamping your will onto the algorithm.
Constantly. And then the other variable is responsiveness.
Which is the scalpel part.
That's the scalpel. Does the tool do exactly what you want it to do the very instant you do it? If you twist the weirdness knob, does the music get weird immediately, or does the AI have to, think about it for a second?
So a high PA score, a high performance agency score, means the final song is a direct reflection of human skill and timing.
Yes. And not just algorithmic probability. It's proof that you are the one flying the plane.
So if we accept that this is a skill, not just button mashing, what are people actually practicing? If I want to become a 4B4KU5 virtuoso, what are my scales? What are my arpeggios?
The sources seem to point to 3 new core competencies that are emerging.
Okay.
The first one, and it's honestly the one that sounds the most like science fiction, is latent space navigation.
Latent space navigation. It sounds like you're piloting a starship through another dimension.
It's not that far off, actually. Think of the AI model as this huge multi-dimensional map, a galaxy.
Okay.
And every sound imaginable, every jazz chord, every techno beat, every classical melody is a star located somewhere in that galaxy. The AI knows all the coordinates.
So navigation is the skill of flying through that galaxy smoothly.
Exactly. It's knowing that if you nudge the controls this way, you'll drift gently from, say, house music into ambient pads. But if you push too far, too fast, you'll fly into a black hole of pure noise.
So a beginner just jerks the controls around and the transitions sound awful and jarring.
Totally broken. But a virtuoso, they know the secret passages, they know the wormholes, they know how to slide from a chaotic drum and bass break into a beautiful, smooth string section without anyone even noticing the seam.
They've developed a mental map of the machine's brain.
They have. That's a great way to put it. It's like being a spelunker exploring a cave system. At first, you're just stumbling around in the dark, but eventually you learn the layout. You learn where the walls are.
That's fascinating. Okay, what's the second skill?
The second one is much more traditional, actually. They call it rhythmic synchronicity.
So just having good timing.
At its core, yes. It's old school musicality. Can you trigger the drop exactly on the downbeat? Can you modulate a filter in perfect time with the hi-hats? The AI can generate the palette of sounds, but in these active performance tools, it relies on the human to be the clock.
And you can't just type good timing into a prompt.
You can't. You either have it or you don't. Or you practice until you do. It requires feel, it requires kinetic memory.
Right. And the third one?
Stem-based arrangement.
Okay, so that's using tools like Moises or Ripex that can split a track into its parts.
Exactly. Those tools can now isolate the drums, the bass, the vocals, the melodies, all in real time. The skill is using those isolated parts as compositional elements. It's live remixing, live arrangement.
Creating tension by, say, pulling the drums out for 8 bars.
Right, letting the tension build.
And then slamming them back in at that perfect moment to make the crowd go crazy.
That's the art of it. That's performance.
This all reminds me of a term I saw in that MIT Media Lab paper we looked at. They called it symbiotic virtuosity.
Yes. That paper was so important. It was the one where they documented their project with Jordan Rudess.
The keyboard player from Dream Theater.
The very same.
And for anyone listening who doesn't know, Jordan Rudess is. He's an absolute monster on the keyboard. He does not need help playing faster or more complexly.
Not at all. He's a traditional virtuoso in every sense of the word, but the goal of that project wasn't to replace him or even make his life easier.
Right.
The goal was to build him an instrument where the AI could act as a collaborator that could actually keep up with him.
So symbiotic virtuosity means?
What? It implies a partnership. The artist controls the AI's massive capabilities, its ability to generate literally infinite sounds and textures, but they do it with the nuance and intentionality of a human performer.
So the AI provides the scale, the infinite library of possibilities.
And the human provides the vector, the direction, the taste.
It's not human versus machine.
No, it's human plus machine equals something. Superhuman.
I want to shift gears here a little bit to a specific feature of this 4B4KU5 launch. It's something I kind of dismissed as a gimmick at first, but after reading the analysis, I think it might be the most important piece of the puzzle.
I think I know what you're going to say.
They're letting you download your set not just as an audio file, but as a video file.
This is the absolute game changer. This is the proof of work, the proof of life.
But why? Help me understand that. It's music. If I'm listening to a great track on Spotify, I don't need to see a video of the drummer hitting the drums. The sound is the point. Why is seeing the performance so critical here?
Because we are drowning in a credibility crisis. We're in an age of infinite, cheap, synthetic media.
Yeah.
If I play you a cool song I made on Udio, and you say, wow, that's a really interesting drum fill, how did you program that? What's my answer?
I don't know. I just typed interesting drum fill.
Right. I asked the AI nicely. There's no process to explain. There's no agency.
But with a video.
If I was performing on 4B4KU5 or on a visual synth like Neural Frames, the video file captures my mouse movements. It captures every knob I twisted. It captures the exact moment I hesitated for a split second before I dropped the beat. The video proves a human was at the controls. It's a performance artifact.
It's like in math class when the teacher made you show your work. The right answer wasn't enough.
Exactly. You had to prove you didn't just copy it from the person next to you. This solves, or at least addresses, the authenticity problem. If you can see the human struggle, see them working the machine, you know it wasn't just a lucky roll of the dice.
This makes me think of those visual synthesizers we're seeing, like Neural Frames. Their tagline is basically a D for visuals.
Yes, Neural Frames is a perfect example of this scalpel mindset in a different domain. You're not just typing, make a cool video of a space battle.
You're actually conducting it.
You're navigating the visual latent space frame by frame. They use this really clever tech called dynamic range processing.
What does that do?
It uses the audio file's own data, the volume, the emotional peaks, the quiet parts, to automatically drive the pacing of the visuals.
So the human can focus on the bigger picture, the direction, I want this to feel like a melting city, and the AI handles the tedious part of rendering the pixels, while the music itself drives the editing pulse.
Precisely. But here's the most critical part of this whole video export feature, and it's straight from the 4B4KU5 marketing copy. They say you can use it to study your failures.
That phrase, I have to say, it really jumped out at me.
It should. Think about how every other high-level performer on the planet trains.
Okay.
A quarterback watches game tape. A professional gamer watches replays of their matches to see exactly where they made a mistake.
A classical musician records their practice sessions and listens back for flaws.
They're all using review loops.
Right.
For any activity to become a real discipline, you have to have a mechanism for self-critique. If you can't see what you did wrong, you can't get better. It's that simple.
So by exporting your performance as a video, you can watch yourself and say, look at my mouse cursor there. I hesitated. I was a beat late on that filter sweep.
I stayed in that ambient section for way too long. The energy died.
That kind of analysis is what allows for deliberate practice.
And if you can practice, and if you can analyze your failures,
then it's a sport. Or at least an art form with a trainable skill. It stops being a slot machine and starts being a violin.
And you knew there was going to be but not everyone is on board with this?
Not by a long shot.
We have to talk about the pushback because it's real, it's visceral, and it's passionate. It's this deep philosophical split that we're calling the producer's dilemma.
The whole augmentation versus replacement debate. It's been simmering for years.
And we looked at that Reddit thread that I think just perfectly captured the anxiety.
Yeah.
The user Nicotina Page wrote something that I think will resonate with anyone who's ever poured their soul into learning an instrument.
Yeah, that was a powerful post. They said, what gives the music value to me is the struggle. The AI can't play the guitar the way I do. It didn't have a voice.
The struggle is the point. It's a really common sentiment. For so many artists, the value of the final piece of art is directly proportional to the difficulty of creating it.
The calluses on the fingertips.
The years of vocal training, the hundreds of hours spent trying to get one synth patch to sound right, they're afraid that AI it vacuums up all that personal journey. If the machine does all the hard work, does the human lose their unique voice in the process?
It's the IKEA effect, but in reverse. You know, that psychological quirk where we value things more if we build them ourselves.
Right. If the AI builds it for us, is it worthless?
That's the fear.
Yeah.
But there's a really strong counter-argument to this, and it came up in another discussion we saw about some older tools, Isotope and Lander.
Oh, yeah, the opinion. Most AI tools just miss the mark thread.
That one, yeah. It was from a producer who basically argued that they don't want a magic button that just says, make song.
They want a knowledgeable studio partner.
That's the phrase they used. And they gave a great specific example. They were trying to get that classic 90s jungle breakbeat sound.
That really specific, crunchy process sound.
And they said they don't want the AI to just do it for them. They want to be able to ask the AI, how do I get that sound? And have the AI set up the effects chain, the compressor, the EQ, the saturation plugin, so the human can then go in and tweak the knobs themselves.
They want augmentation, not automation. The criticism of a tool like iZotope's auto mixing feature is that it fixes your problems without ever teaching you why they were problems in the first place.
It creates dependency.
Mm-hmm.
If the AI fixes your muddy bass every single time, you never learn how to actually hear and identify a muddy bass.
Exactly. It's the difference between a teacher and a crutch. A teacher shows you the way. A crutch just carries you.
And the argument is that these new active performance tools, the 4P4K U5s of the world, are trying to be instruments.
And an instrument is never a crutch. A violin does not play itself. You have to wrestle with it.
There's also this fascinating study from the journal PLOS One about something called authorship bias. And it sheds a lot of light on why audiences might just reject AI music, no matter how technically perfect it sounds.
This is so critical to understanding the challenge. The study found that listeners will rate the exact same piece of music lower, significantly lower, if you simply tell them it was made by an AI.
Even if the music is identical.
Yeah.
Down to the very last waveform.
Identical. The moment our brains think a machine made it, we seem to disengage from it emotionally. It seems we're hardwired with a bias for human creation. We want to sense the mind, the intention behind the music.
The study called it the uncanny valley of music.
Yes. Purely AI-generated tracks often get described as having boring chord changes or feeling emotionally flat, and there's a reason for that.
Why?
Because at their core, they're statistical models. They're designed to predict the most likely next note, the safest next chord. But great art, human art, is so often about choosing the unlikely next note.
The surprise. The mistake that accidentally becomes the main hook of the song. The crack in the singer's voice on a high note.
All of it. The glorious imperfection. And that is precisely what active performance is trying to inject back into this whole process. By putting a human back in the cockpit in real time, you're reintroducing human timing, human error, human intention.
You're breaking the statistical average.
You are. You're introducing soul by reintroducing the possibility of failure.
So if this is the future, if we're moving toward this high-skill, human-in-the-loop world, what does that actually look like? Where does this all go? Are we seriously going to see stadiums full of people watching someone play a neural network?
I think we absolutely could. I think we are already seeing the very first seeds of what you could call AI Music Esports.
Esports, like competitive prompting battles.
Forget prompting. Think more like live coding competitions or latent space battles. Imagine a stage. You have two performers, two DJs. You give them both the exact same raw AI model, the same instrument.
A level playing field.
Completely level. And you say, you have 10 minutes, go. And the winner is whoever can steer that raw, chaotic model into the most compelling, technically complex, crowd-pleasing set.
Wow. So the skill is no longer who has the best samples or who found the coolest synth patch, because they both have access to the same infinite library.
Exactly. The skill is purely who can drive the car better.
What's the skill ceiling on something like that?
It's completely unknowable right now. We have no idea how good a human can get at this because the instruments have only just been invented. We are in the 1950s, in the inventing the electric guitar phase. We haven't met the Jimi Hendrix of AI yet.
Well, wait, how do you stop cheating? What's to stop someone from just playing a pre-recorded track and pretending to twist knobs on stage?
Ah, that brings us to the next piece of tech mentioned in the sources. Neural fingerprinting.
That sounds like something straight out of Blade Runner.
It sounds futuristic, but it's real. There are companies like Sound Patrol developing it. It's software designed to distinguish between a derivative AI clone and an original human performance.
How does it do that?
It analyzes what they call the hand of the performer. Just like an art expert can spot a forgery by looking at the specific brushstrokes, these algorithms can analyze the data stream of a performance, the micro-timing of every click, the velocity data from the controllers, and verify that a human was actually doing the work.
So it's a way to verify the sweat equity.
In a digital way, yes. Authenticity is becoming a massive value signal. In a world drowning in cheap, infinite content, proven human effort becomes the new premium product. If you can prove you really played it, it's suddenly worth more.
Which brings us, of course, to the money, the economics of all this. That royalty-free music market is just exploding.
It's projected to hit $2 billion by 2030. But there's a really interesting cultural counterpoint to all this high-skill talk. The sources mention something called the laziness complex.
Right, from the artist for his little music. I saw that quote.
Yeah, they describe their own work as lazy artwork, lazy sound, lazy production.
And is that a bad thing? Or is it like a punk rock statement?
I think it's a provocation. It's asking, is there an aesthetic value in choosing to be lazy? Can bad quality be a deliberate style? But even that is a very human choice.
Right. And AI doesn't choose to be lazy. It just executes its instructions. The choice to be lazy is still an artistic stance.
Precisely.
So, after all this, where does it leave us? It feels like we're standing at a crossroads with these two very different paths stretching out in front of us.
We are. It's that bifurcation we talked about at the start, a fundamental split.
And path number one is the vending machine.
Infinite, passive, good enough content, background music for YouTube videos, for elevators, for corporate ads. It's going to be everywhere. It'll be cheap. It'll be ubiquitous. It's the new wallpaper of our sonic lives.
And path number two?
Path number two is the cockpit. It's a new, rigorous, and probably very difficult discipline of playing the algorithm. And that path, I think, leads to entirely new forms of virtuosity, new kinds of live performance, and a whole new appreciation for the human ability to find beauty inside of chaos.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's a little bit daunting. It really changes the definition of what it even means to be a musician.
It does, but every major technology has done that. The piano changed music. The synthesizer changed music. The sampler completely changed music. This is just the next turn of the wheel.
I want to end with a final prediction, a thought to leave our listeners with. We talked about what the resume of the future might look like.
Right. In 5, maybe 10 years, your musical resume won't just list piano, guitar, proficient in Ableton. It might include a new line item.
And that is?
Your failure reel.
A portfolio of your mistakes.
A portfolio of your video exports. A highlight reel showing how you wrestled a chaotic neural network into submission. Showing those moments where the music almost completely fell apart and how you, with your skill, saved it.
Because that proves you weren't just pushing a button.
It proves you were performing. It proves you can handle the cockpit when things get turbulent.
Which brings us all the way back to that opening question we started with. If you can practice it, and if you can fail at it, and if you can get measurably, demonstrably better at it, is it still artificial?
Or is the AI just the most complex, most responsive, most powerful instrument that humanity has ever built?
Something to think about the next time you put on a playlist. Is there a mind behind the music, or just a model? Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.